Do you overexercise? Let's talk about overexercising. Hi, my name is Hadley, and this is Hadley's High Carb Kitchen. I started this channel in an effort to combat 1200 calorie diets, calorie restricting, and low carb diets. So I wanted to just hop on here and tell a quick story about how I used to overexercise big time. And one specific example came to mind because someone left a comment on my only video, so thank you very much, about how they struggle with overexercising and fear that they might gain weight if they stop exercising so much. So I also had this fear, and I think the best example I can think of is back in 2020. So the beginning of COVID. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on here. Beginning of 2020, I became very ill. I don't know what, I am still to this day, I have no idea what I had or what was going on there. I just got up one day and I couldn't, my dog's being silly. I couldn't stand in the shower. Like I felt like I was just gonna pass out and I thought I was gonna vomit, and I don't know, like it was this weird like gastrointestinal type of thing. Like I couldn't eat anything because everything that I ate either came up or came out one way or the other. And this went on for like probably about a month or so. I was sick for a really long time, but since it was the beginning of 2020 and everything that was happening with that, I didn't go to the doctor. I didn't go to the hospital. I was kind of like afraid to, because it was a interesting time. Anyways, so I was super sick, couldn't eat, could barely stand, and yet I still decided after a couple of days, when I could, kind of get up and walk around, that I was going to exercise, which me thinking now is kind of insane because I was still very, very sick. I was still throwing up. I could still barely eat, but I just needed to exercise. I needed to do that, or I thought I was going to get fat, which is ridiculous because one, I was sick and I should have been resting, and two, you're not going to get sick or you're not going to get fat if you're just like not exercising for a couple of days. I was not eating high carb, low fat at this time. I was vegan though. I was vegan at the time, but I was doing the protein powders and doing like more of a high protein diet than anything. So I decided I was going to still exercise. Even though I could, like I said, I could barely stand. I was super, super sick with whatever it was that was going on. So I remember doing like a hip workout and having to hold on to my work desk in order to like not pass out, and like just kind of like taking the time in between to breathe really heavily and hold on to the desk for dear life, basically, so I didn't pass out. And I did this the entire time that I was ill, and I obviously didn't, I would have healed a lot faster from whatever I had going on if I hadn't have been exercising like crazy. But I was convinced that I was going to get fat if I didn't exercise like extreme, like big time. So yeah, that was like one example. And another example was I used to sometimes wake up in the middle of the night, and if I couldn't sleep, probably because I wasn't eating enough, I would be stressed about how I had to get up in the morning and I needed to exercise, but I didn't want to be super exhausted. So my brilliant thought was, oh, I should just get up in the middle of the night and exercise. And that is what I would do because I needed to get it in desperately, because if I didn't, I was, just gonna get fat. And none of that is true. I mean, even if you like just stop exercising for a couple of days, even a week, like I don't think it's going to affect you. But exercise addiction is real. And before I went high carb, low fat, I was exercising a lot, like crazy as well. Like I would go for like an hour run, and then right after, without like eating anything, I would take my dog for an hour walk, and then sometimes I would like do things in the evening, like go to the climbing gym, because this was before I had my daughter, so I had a lot of free time. A lot of free time to do, and I mostly spent it doing exercise, which to me is kind of sad now, because I had all this time that I could have been doing anything, but I chose to like just exercise like crazy, and I ended up with injuries, and I ended up you know, like I said in my previous video, like the world felt like it was moving a lot of the time when I was walking, because I was like putting so much strain on my body, and I was like not eating enough. But yeah, so let's fast forward till now. I do exercise probably, you know, anywhere from 20 to 60 minutes on an average day. But I do take, like if I'm not feeling it, if I'm feeling tired, if I'm, you know, just like mentally exhausted or physically exhausted, or just haven't slept well because the little one kept me up or something, I don't exercise. Like at the most I would go for like a half an hour walk with my dog or something. And I have a very sedentary job. Like I sit at a computer all day. I do obviously like get maybe a little bit more exercise in the evening, because I'm running around with my daughter sometimes around the kitchen table, because she likes to do that, playing with the dog and whatnot. But yeah, I also I take time off. Like sometimes I'll take 2-3 days off if I'm needing to, because it's just, you know, I need that rest, especially if you're like a mom or you have like big time responsibilities. Like you need time to like rest and recover. Like obviously you're not going to benefit from your workouts if you're just like constantly hammering your body. And that is, I mean, that's so true. Like the back in the day, like I yo-yo with my weight a lot, but I never like really saw the results that I wanted to see. Like I'm definitely a lot like more fit and toned and lean than I was then. Like, and my body weight doesn't yo-yo like it did. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about those stories, because, you know, over exercising, like I sometimes think that it's like almost like an addiction. Like you just get obsessed with exercising because maybe you think that if you just, the more you do, the faster you'll get results, and like it's more like the more you do, like the faster you're gonna burn out kind of thing. And another point is that, you know, if you're eating a high carb, low fat, plant-based diet, it's, you know, it's going to be really difficult for you to put on body weight. Like even when I gained the weight, like I was still never, like I was always within the BMI range of like healthy. Like I was never considered technically overweight. It really all depends on like what your goals are. You know, if you want to be lean and toned, then of course you have to do some work and put in that work. Like it's the same, like if you want to gain muscle, you have to like put in the work lifting weights at the gym kind of thing. But with high carb, low fat, I feel like I don't have to worry about it as much, because I'm not eating foods that will like go directly to my fat stores. So you have a little bit more leeway. Like yeah, like I mean, there's tons of like different cultures, that like Asian cultures and stuff, like they can be slim and healthy and lean, and they don't do, like they wouldn't do a ton of exercise, especially if we're talking about like Asia before the 1980s kind of thing. Or like even, you know, you look at people back in like the 40s and 50s, like they were probably eating more of a higher carb diet, like, and not so much sugar fear. And they probably just did a lot of walking, and, you know, typically they weren't super overweight. So you really don't have to worry about your weight as much when you're doing high carb, low fat, because it's like, you know, it's harder for your body to store carbohydrates as fat as opposed to fat that goes directly to your fat stores. So I think I mentioned before in my other video that, you know, the storing of carbohydrates as fat is a process called de novo lipogenesis, and it's not something our bodies really like to do, unless of course we've been in a starvation state, and then your body's saying like, yeah, I need to hold on to this body fat. But if you've been doing high carb, low fat for a while, or, you know, eating sufficient calories and then you switch to a high carb, low fat diet, like you're probably not going to gain a ton of weight or any weight at all. You probably will end up losing weight and slimming down more. But yeah, I just wanted to hop in here and talk about my story, my experience that I've had with over exercising, because it was definitely a problem for me in the past. And you know, it's important that we listen to our bodies and that we take the time to rest and we don't do a crazy amount of exercise, because it's not going to help you. It's really going to hinder you and you're not going to see the progress that you want to see. Okay, thanks everyone, and bye.